The Zamorian Lotus bundle has returned to Conan Exiles not too long after it recently left, bringing all you need to create a fancy den of decadence. However, is the bundle worth your money, or is it all smoke and mirrors? Today, we're going to find out. Firstly, a disclaimer, this set was gifted to me by Funcom. Just like all my other reviews, that will in no way affect my opinions of this set, nor would it affect my recommendation or lack thereof. So without further ado, let's get started. The Zamorian Lotus Den bundle comes in at 1,407 Crom coins, equivalent to $11.72, so we'll call it 12 bucks. The bundle contains the following items: the Zamorian Lotus Den Hookah, the Lotus Den Tray, the Lotus Den Carpet, dried hanging Lotus Pods, and hanging Lotus Den lamps. So let's start at the bottom and work our way up. The hanging Lotus Den lamps are a set of hanging lanterns all suspended from a circular frame. With this item, what you see is what you get. It does exactly what you'd expect. A decent ceiling based light source with a light level equivalent to similar options. The design of the lamps themselves are quite nice, and it lets off a decent little bit of smoke too, which will add to the whole Lotus Den vibe. The metalwork and Lotus designs are also an especially nice touch. There's also a good amount of restraint in the aesthetic design that stops it being too over the top, and I do think that's a good thing. My only criticism would be that I do wish these swayed slightly. I think that would add a little bit of life into this placeable, but other than that, the lamps are pretty good. The dried Lotus Pods are a placeable wall decoration consisting of 2 hooks holding a string onto which 5 bundles of dried Lotus Pods are tied. As a decoration, this is decent. It should work well in any farming room or a kitchen, and of course a Lotus Den too, but that's all there really is to it. These pods are fine, they fit into the bundle well, and probably will suit a number of different builds and themes, but it's not something that will make or break the bundle on its own. The Lotus Den carpet is a mostly red, slightly worn carpet bearing various Lotus-inspired designs with decorative tasselled edges. It's about 2 tiles long and a tile and a half wide, and as carpets go, this one is quite good. Whilst it is visually worn, Funcom haven't twisted up the edges or folded it weirdly like we've seen before, making it much easier to use. It is a little thin, so you may have some floor tiles that clip through it. That's mainly because of the floor tile and not the carpet itself, but overall it's a nice design and does suit the idea of the Lotus Den. Rather good. The Lotus Tray is a decently sized plate on top of 2 thick cushions, topped with a brazier of coals, crushed lotus in a mortar and pestle, some lotus petals and some tongs. Much like the Lotus Pods themselves, this isn't a make or break item in the bundle, but for what it is, it's quite nice. The only issue is a small smoke wisp is seemingly misplaced next to the brazier, but it's a minor problem and probably will get fixed. All in all, the tray fits very well next to the hookah, which we'll discuss next, and fits into the bundle at large flawlessly. This could also see use in Keton builds or in alchemy themed areas. Overall, again, not a standout item, but it is quite well made. Finally, the Lotus Hookah is a golden water pipe with 3 pillows surrounding it and a pipe from the hookah near each pillow. This is the star of the show, and not only is it nicely designed, it's also functional. The hookah is able to be sat at and used by the player, and also thralls too. The animation of using the hookah plays out smoothly, and it's a pretty well made item overall. I've heard a lot of people who bought the bundle were quite happy with this item, and it does work exactly as you'd want it to, with one caveat. For tavern users, it's a bit weird. I've heard from others that tavern patrons can use this item. I've even seen screenshots of it, but on my end it just would not work. I waited for a long time, and when only hookah seats were available, patrons just never showed up. Even if there were already patrons there and I removed the seats and tried to force them onto the hookahs, they'd just leave. That might be a bug. I have reported it anyway. They should work with tavern patrons, but it does seem inconsistent at best. Overall though, the hookah is very well designed and integrated into the interaction system with multiple unique emotes. The tavern interaction just seems very rare, possibly bugged. They've again shown some aesthetic restraint, so it's not too extravagant, and can be used in other settings like Yamatai and Turanian, not just Zamorian. Overall, the Lotus Hookah is pretty great if you're not using it in a tavern. With all the details covered, it's time for the most important question: is it worth your money? For what's actually in the bundle, it's all done quite well. The weakest item is probably the Lotus Pods, and they're not bad, they're just nothing really notable. For the pieces people will actually be interested in, like the hookah, carpet and lamps, they are quite good. The bug on the hookah with the tavern patrons is a niche pain, but again I have seen proof of it working for others, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. My issue, as you will likely predict, is the price. $12 isn't too bad. We've seen much higher prices for similar or even lower quality and quantity of items in other bundles, but I do think it's a bit much for what's here, even with the quality of the items. Now, to be fair, if you really love Zamorian stuff or you think you'll get a lot of usage out of this bundle, it could very well be worth that price for you. It does seem to be fairly popular amongst the player base. However, for the average player, I don't think it's a must-have bundle. Therefore, unless this set really appeals to you, I don't recommend the Zamorian Lotus Den bundle. Anyway, that will wrap us up for today. Thank you for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts on the bundle in the comments below. I've heard mostly positive feedback from those who've already bought it, but of course feel free to let me know your thoughts and if you could get it to work in your tavern. If you enjoy my videos, do check out the Patreon page through the link in the description. There's early access to videos, wallpapers, video credits and much more, and joining us helps out the channel massively. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.